Thank you for tuning back in. Tonight is session number 8, and it's our last full course. Next week is our graduation ceremony. Earlier today, we had a botanical gardens tour this morning, and then at 3:30 this afternoon, we had our fantastic public works and utilities truck demonstration. So a big thank you to all of the students who came out and participated in those live tours today. We had a great time, and we did manage to capture some video and some photographs. So I promise I will get those edited and ready and up and available for everyone as soon as possible. I was having some difficulty uploading the police presentation and videos from last week because they are very large and very heavy, but I will do my best to finish that up for you all, and we will definitely have some summary documents after this last session. We'll have a summary document of a lot of the questions and some answers that we got from various classes that we couldn't go into depth in at the particular class. We will also have some information about where you can find things on the internet and on YouTube. And then eventually, hopefully by the end of the year, we will have all the videos of all the courses edited and published online so that you can share that with your family, you can share it with your friends, you can refer back to it if you want to remember something that you participated in. So I hope everyone has had a good city university class, even though it's been a little different this year. We haven't been able to be here in council chambers and at the different sites in person, but I still feel like it turned out very well, and it was different. So there are a lot of things that we got from these sessions virtually that we didn't get from other sessions in person. And I just appreciate you all. And I appreciate my presenters who are here tonight. Tonight is a very special class. We have some public relations or PR professionals here. So these are not just regular city employees that do normal tasks out in the field. We do have people who really specialize in community programming and outreach initiatives, and we're excited to share that. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome from the Utility Systems Department, Jenny Tomes. Thank you.
All right, Alex, thank you so much. Thank you all so much for having me. Again, my name is Jenny Tomes. I'm the Utility Marketing Coordinator with Port St. Lucie Utility Systems. I've been with the city for about 12 years now, but I've been with Utility Systems for 4 years. So prior to coming over to Utility Systems from Communications, honestly, I didn't really know much about water and sewer, so I've learned so much, and I'm so excited to share everything that I've learned with you this evening. We mainly focus on water service and sewer service, so we're going to break the presentation up into just those things, water and sewer. So we're going to start first with just a basic overview of the department. We're going to get into a little bit of the history, and then we've got some fun visuals to share with you too, so we can go ahead and get started. So Utility Systems literally is connected to the community. Physically, literally, we are connected to the community. So we provide all of your water services and your sewer services throughout the city. So our mission, first and foremost, is to provide our community and environment with clean, safe utility services through exceptional customer support and communication. That's just a really fancy, formal way of saying you are our number one priority, our customers. So we are here for you 24 hours a day, every day of the year, whether it's Super Bowl Sunday or whether it's 4 o'clock in the morning on Christmas Eve. We are absolutely just a phone call away if you're having any issues at all with your water or sewer services. Our vision for the future, to be recognized as the vanguard of innovation through forward thinking and pioneering and advancement in utility operations. Again, just a really formal, fancy way of saying we're not standing still here. We continue to look forward. We continue to look for ways that we can be more efficient and to better serve our customers. And then our values, really from the top down and from the bottom up, are respect and empathy and integrity. We have over 250 employees in our department. We are separated out over 9 divisions. We're a really close group for that many people. We actually work really well together. And again, we just all have that common goal, just to better serve the city of Port St. Lucie and our customers. All right, so we need to get a little bit into the history of Port St. Lucie, just so you understand how we got to where we are today as far as our sewer system and some of our infrastructure goes. So as you may know, Port St. Lucie is a very young city. It was only incorporated in early 1960s, but in the 1950s, 1960s, General Development Corporation, or GDC, owned GDU, which is General Development Utilities. They developed the city of Port St. Lucie. So here on your screen, you see an old advertisement, Life in Port St. Lucie. They were selling lots all over the United States. They would go to the Elks Lodge and the Moose Lodge and the Knights of Columbus, talking to folks all over the country about beautiful, tropical Port St. Lucie. Back then, wasn't much here. You know, we had US 1, we had the Shaw Bazaar, that's about it. So they bought up all this property and then they were selling it to folks all over the country. They were selling quarter-acre lots for $10 down and $10 a month. So you can imagine, people came, right? So if you build it, they will come. They absolutely came down to beautiful Port St. Lucie to buy their little slice of paradise. So fast forward several years to 1980s. So here is the city map. Back then, it was only 80 square miles. There'll be a map here in a couple slides. I show you just how much it's grown over the years. But in the 1980s, we were at 80 square miles. Very small water and wastewater facilities. At that point, they had platted about 80,000 quarter-acre lots, many of which were served by septic systems. So there could be as many as 4 septic systems on 1 acre of property, okay? But again, a very limited maintenance program, and you can probably tell by my tone that, you know, it's not going to turn out okay, right? So fast forward, 1990, GDC and GDU filed for bankruptcy. They couldn't handle the growth, they couldn't handle the demand, and back to that infrastructure, like I said, they would sell a lot, build the house, hook it up to a well, hook it up to a septic system. They only in a couple spots throughout the city did they actually put the infrastructure into the ground, right? So, you know, new developments nowadays, they put all that infrastructure in first and then build the community on top of it, and GDC didn't really do that, okay? All right, so again, they couldn't handle the demand. St. Lucie County acquired the utility through the quick take legal process, and wouldn't you know it, they struggled with it as well. In 1992, they ran out of water. So again, St. Lucie County struggled with maintenance. On a Sunday, I don't know if it was particularly hot, if everybody was filling up their pools and washing their cars, but citizens used 1.2 million gallons of water in just 4 hours. That's a tremendous amount of water. And on Monday morning, can you imagine waking up? Mondays are bad enough, but then you wake up and you have no water. 10,000 customers had no water. 40,000 people had very low pressure. So it was a tough go. It definitely made some headlines that day. So just a couple years later, 1994, you know, city of Port St. Lucie had been kind of sitting back, watching this happen. So St. Lucie County had the assets transferred to them St. Lucie County transferred the assets to the city of Port St. Lucie in 1994. So on your screen there, that's the pipeline. That was one of the first newsletters, paper-mailed newsletters that actually went out to customers. But, you know, Port St. Lucie, you know, we were so excited and we were determined to expand the infrastructure. You know, when we acquired the utility, we had 17,000 water customers, 10,000 sewer customers. But, you know, we had seen the difficulties that GDC experienced. We'd seen the difficulties that St. Lucie County experienced. So we wanted to expand that system, particularly, you know, all of those septic systems that were taking up so much space. We wanted to just really expand that sewer system and just get that infrastructure updated. So fast forward to 2012, doing very well. The city has expanded from 80 square miles in 1980 to 120 square miles. We purchased this McCarty Ranch property. If anybody's been there, there's a tremendous amount of recreational activities, but the reason we purchased that property, and you'll see on the map, are those large lakes. See, this is the site of a proposed future surficial water treatment plant. Because our growth has expanded so far out west, we have two water treatment plants currently, but we need to prepare for that growth out west. So even back then, we knew this city's growing, it's expanding. We need to have a third water treatment plant to service those folks out west. So that's what that property was purchased for. And then down at the bottom, you see we also have McCarty Ranch Extension, and that is the home of our water quality project, and I'll get into that in a couple more slides. But at this point in 2012, a lot of growth there, 71,000 water customers, 52,000 sewer customers. Our utility is a self-permitting utility. We're only one of 4 in the entire state of Florida that has that. So what that means is we're really a one-stop shop. So when businesses, new construction's taking place, you don't have to go to West Palm, to DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection, to get those permits. We can issue them here, right here in Port St. Lucie. So that's really a great honor for us. We also have a nationally accredited certified lab that's housed in one of our water treatment plants. So that just means we can do a lot of our testing in-house. Nothing really has to be sent out, so that's super efficient. All right, so here's that map I was mentioning. So if you see from the pink line east, that's that 80 square miles. That was back in 1980. So you see how we've grown, all that yellow property there, all those yellow lines, that's how much we've grown. So we're up to about 130 square miles currently. All right, so here's my chart here. You'll see that it starts at 1994. So just look at that customer growth. From 1994 to 2020, we're up over 78,000 water customers, and then we're up over 60,000 sewer customers, and those numbers don't match because there are a lot of people that are still on septic. They have city water, but not city sewer at this point. So there's an asterisk next to my number there because since 1994, almost 9,000 septic systems have been taken out of service because they failed. See, when they fail, you have to hook up to city sewer if the infrastructure is available. So that's why we have that asterisk there. So about 9,000 septic systems are out of commission. They're not working anymore. They have failed. Once they fail, you have to hook up to city sewer. And then, all of the new building and new construction that's taken place since then, we've kept 25,000 new septic systems from being in service, right? Because anything new construction-wise, it has to hook up to city sewer. All right, so we have a tremendous amount of infrastructure, but a lot of it is actually underground, right? So when I first started working for utility systems, I kind of didn't realize. I thought I just turned the faucet on and out the water came. I didn't really give much thought to where it actually came from. But just to give you an idea of just how much stuff we have almost 5,800 fire hydrants throughout the city. I mean, you know how important fire hydrants are. We work really closely with the St. Lucie County Fire Department. We maintain all of those hydrants. We exercise them. We make sure that they're working properly because if there is a fire and the fire department rolls up, they want to make sure that they can get water out of that hydrant. So that's a really important part of what we do. And then on the map here, you see this red line. So just picture if we were to unearth all of the water main, right? So it's almost over 1,200 miles of water main throughout the city. If we were to unearth that and lay that end to end, it would stretch from Port St. Lucie all the way up to Indianapolis, okay? So that's a tremendous amount of pipe that's in the ground. Now let's take the sewer system. So we have almost 1,100 miles of sewer main underground. If we were to unearth that and lay that end to end, that would stretch from Indianapolis all the way to Denver. Okay, so just really think about that next time you turn the faucet on or flush the toilet, because again, we've got all that network of piping underground. And just to be clear, those two networks of pipes do not cross. They are completely separate. Water and sewer, completely separate pipes. They never cross. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about our water distribution system. We have a video coming up that's going to go into more detail. but it's a lot of information. It's very scientific. I want to give you just a really quick overview so the video actually makes more sense to you when we watch it here in a moment. So water distribution, forgive my drawing here. I talk to grown-ups a lot, but I also present to kids a lot. So I have this whole line of chalk drawings that I use. But that first picture there, so you see very basic. So we have surface water, we have the water table, and then keep going down in those layers. So the city of Port St. Lucie, we get our water from underground, deep underground. We have wells all over the city of Port St. Lucie. We have 48 of them. And some of them dip into the superficial aquifer. Superficial just means it's a little closer to the surface. So it's only about 50 to 80 feet deep. So it's like a well that you would have at your home. So we have wells that suck water up out of a superficial aquifer and then deep down into the Floridan aquifer, which is more like 15 to 1,800 feet underground. So I want you to think about it. You know, the wells are really fancy, expensive straws. I know that sounds silly, but it's a good visual, right? And that's basically what they do. So I'm going to move over here to this table to show you and take you underground. Okay, so we're going to pretend that we just dug and dug and dug and dug, and now we're deep, deep, deep underground, okay? So here's my little tank here, lots of rocks, big rocks, little rocks. So in between these rocks, that's where you'll find the water. So I'm going to pour my water in here. All right, so we've got the water. The water's actually settled in between the little rocks and then the bigger rocks. So what the wells do, we've got wells at different depths all over the city of Port St. Lucie. So some of them tap into the shallow aquifer, and then some of them, or the superficial aquifer, and then some of them are deeper down into the Floridan aquifer. So you see, it's my very basic demonstration here, but it just gives you an idea that, you know, there's not this amazing underground river just flowing that we can just dig and dip our buckets into. We've got some work to do to get this water up out of the ground, okay? So we've got our straws, we've got them all over the city, and then we suck that water up, but is that water ready? Is that water ready to come to your faucet? Absolutely not. We actually have to treat it first, right, before we send it to your house. So once that water comes up out of those wells, it enters into one of two of our water treatment facilities. So this first picture here is a micron canister. So I'm going to go back over to the table because I have some show and tell for you. Okay, so that micron canister has about 100 of these. Okay, so this is a micron filter. This kind of reminds me of a cat toy because it's literally just kind of yarn kind of spun around a plastic tube. So all of the water is pushed through that micron canister. Now this will capture and contain anything that's the thickness of a strand of hair. There, dang, it wasn't a gray one. All right, well, either way. All right, so I know that you can't see this, but you can imagine the thickness of a strand of hair. So the water that we suck up out of the ground, since we are so close to the ocean, there's actually a lot of salt, there's a lot of sand, there's a lot of things in it about the thickness of hair, and then that gets trapped in here. Now, these are very, very, very inexpensive, so we make sure that we are changing these out, right? So we don't want all of that stuff, going through the process. Okay. So the first line of defense, if you will, in treating it, right, we treat it through this because we want to protect the membranes. That's that next picture up on the screen. So here's a cutout of one of our membranes. They're actually about 3 or 4 feet long. And again, this is just a cutout to show you. But through reverse osmosis, there's pressure that pushes the water through these membranes. Now this will capture and contain anything that you can't see with your eyes. So microorganisms, bacteria, things like that. But unfortunately, it also strips out the naturally occurring minerals that your body needs, right, in the water. So at the end of this process, we actually have to add a little bit of that raw water back in. So you do have those minerals, those naturally occurring minerals back in. So all right, so next, now when you suck that water up out of the ground, it goes through the different filters. Sometimes there's kind of a sulfur smell, kind of a rotten egg smell. So it has to go through this next process, which is a degasifier, and that just strips that odor out, okay? All right, and then next, all of that water is stored. We have storage tanks all over the city of Port St. Lucie. So when you turn your faucet on, boom, that water goes from that storage tank through that 1,200 miles of distribution system, and then it comes to your house. That same treated water that comes out of your faucet is the same treated water that fills up your toilet, that washes your clothes, that you shower with, that you wash the dishes with. All right, so here's that quick video really getting into a deeper look at the water treatment process.
Hello everyone, my name is Michael Poveromo and we're here at the James E. Anderson Water Plant, and right now we're in the control room. Here is our system SCADA. Through these 3 screens we can see everything that's happening in the plant. We control one repump station out at Rangeline. We can see everything that's going on remotely there, and like I said, everything here, pH, chlorine, pressure, flow, pretty much every little thing that you can monitor, we monitor in real time. Next I'll show you the process area. We have the process area, the blend basin, and some chemical rooms, and I'll take you out there in a little bit. Alright, here we are in the process area. Behind me you'll see the micron canisters. Those feed the skids. These are the blend micron canisters. The water coming into the plant, first we put it through the canisters behind me. Inside those canisters are about 200 filters that look like this, made out of yarn. It helps take out the sand and the silt before that water goes into the skids. We have 10 skids, each produces about 2 million gallons a day. We supply the water into these, we push it through membranes. These membranes are our reverse osmosis membranes. We have to supply a lot of pressure to get the rest of the total dissolved solids out of the water. We can't put raw water straight into these membranes because you'll clog up these membranes pretty quick. So we pre-filter it with those, gets put into the skids with this. Now this removes a lot of the total dissolved solids in the water. It removes so much that we actually have to blend water back into it to add mineral content back into the water, which is what these 3 smaller micron canisters are for. Now we're out here by the blend basin, and you can see the stacks behind me. The first row of stacks are degasifiers. What we do is you basically have the water falling down into troughs, kind of spread the water around, create more surface area, have the blowers pump air up, and it's air stripping. It'll take the rotten egg smell out, and then after that, the water falls down into the blend basin. It goes through channels. Now we're out by the back of the blend basin. As you can see behind me, the blue pipes are our transfer pumps. After all the chemicals and water has time to mix and disinfect, the transfer pumps will pump out the water into our ground storage tanks. We have 2 ground storage tanks on site. Each one is 4 million gallons. As the water is in the storage tanks, just waiting to be pumped out, we use our high service pumps to pump the water out at our point of entry, which is at which point the water goes into the distribution system for everyone to use. So behind me you can see the 2 tanks. We have our transfer pumps, and you also get a little sneak peek at the odor control system I was telling you about earlier. You couldn't really see those in front of the degas stacks. Afterwards, I'll go ahead and show you some of the water quality tests that we run. We want to make sure that the water that you get is high quality and is within range of the DEP standards that they have us operate by.
Located right behind us is the deep injection well. When you do reverse osmosis, there's only an 80% recovery rate, which means every 10 million gallons we clean, about 2 million gallons of those are concentrate water, and the concentrate water gets sent from the skids all the way back to the deep injection well, and it gets sent back down to the aquifer to be cleaned naturally over time.
Here we are in the lab. This is where we run all of our tests and analysis. We want to make sure that the water that we're pumping out is of the highest quality and within range of what DEP requires us. So we run pH, this probe to my right, and to my left is where we run all the titrations for the chlorine. We run 3 analysis a day to check the pH, chlorine, hardness, TDS, a very general overview of the water that we're pumping out, and we keep tabs on it. Not only testing the POE water, which is the water that's going out to the distribution system, but the water at different stages in the plant. We'll check water going into the skids, make sure the pH is okay, check the blend base and make sure that the chlorine has the right residual, and all that's done in here. And any more complex testing is done at the lab that we have on site. So that's the basis of the process, of getting the water from the aquifer to your faucet safely and with the best quality that we can provide. Thank you for joining me on the tour, and hope you enjoy.
All right, yeah, so I'm happy to let the experts go into that detail. I mean, those operators, they live it and they breathe it. So they certainly know far more than I could ever know. So next, we're gonna do a fun little poll question. We are comparing, not yet, okay, no problem. Well, we're gonna talk about this for a moment. How about that? All right, so we're gonna talk about bottled water versus tap water, and I have to tell you, and I confess, I think a lot of people, I have mentioned this to before, but I was a bottled water snob when I first moved over to utility systems. I just preferred it. I preferred the taste, I guess. I preferred spending more money on bottled, I don't know, whatever it was. But anyway, I started working for utility systems, and then you go and you go to the plants and you meet all the staff and the operators who treat this water, and they're so dedicated and they're so committed. And I thought, geez, I got to start drinking it now. I mean, literally, we're drinking the Kool-Aid, right? I have to start drinking it now, especially if I'm going to be out talking about how amazing our tap water is. So now I have absolutely switched to tap water. It is all I drink. I refuse to buy bottled water because, number one, there's an expense to it. Tap water is so inexpensive if you really do the math compared to bottled water. But honestly, I prefer the taste at this point. But I like to do this with folks because I want you to understand, if we were here in person, I would actually do the Pepsi Challenge test with you, and I would have 2 cups in front of you, and one would be bottled water and one would be our tap water. And I would have you drink it and smell it and just see if you could tell the difference. And probably not surprising, many people can definitely tell or smell the difference, right? So once they taste it, you can taste the difference, right? Am I right? Okay. All right, I want to know, can you tell the difference? That's our poll question. Can you tell or taste the difference between bottled water and tap water? It's funny because I've actually talked to several people who cannot, and I delight in that. That makes me happy. But I think most people can tell the difference. Okay, yeah, about 5 seconds, and answer just yes or no. Tell me if you can tell the difference. And there's no wrong answer here. I won't judge you.
There you go. The results are 81 says yes.
81 says yes, so 81%. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I know it. And it's funny because some people can even tell the difference in taste from brand to brand to brand, right? So I have several brands over here on my table. I'm going to talk about this for a moment. So I'm going to move over here. Okay, so as I mentioned, and as the operators mentioned in the video, we use reverse osmosis to treat our water. So here I have Aquafina, I have Dasani, I have Nestle, I have I think the Sam's Club brand, I have a couple other brands here. But if you look at the labels on the bottled water, all of my examples here, and I have many more. I only had so much room. I didn't want to overwhelm everybody with all of my stuff, but Aquafina, it says purified by reverse osmosis. All of these samples on the label say purified by reverse osmosis. So we're treating our water exactly the same way. So why is it different? Why does it taste different? Well, let's think back to the source. So remember where we get our bottled water. Remember where we get our water from that we send to your house, right? We have to dip into those superficial aquifers and then deeper into the Floridan aquifer. So, a lot of these bottled water companies, these are from all over the country, right? California, New York, Washington, they're all over the place. So number one, the source is most likely different. But number two, these guys have to answer to the FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration, and they literally just treat their water and then put it in here, put a cap on it, and then send it out. Remember, we have that 1,200 miles of distribution system, right? So we have to provide water through all of those homes throughout the city to our 78,000 customers. So we have to make sure that our water is still meeting those very strict standards and regulations that we have to answer to. We don't answer to the FDA. We have to answer to the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. Again, very strict very strict guidelines. So when that water is sent out, as it leaves the plant, as it makes its way through that 1,200 miles, even at the very last mile of that 1,200, that water still has to meet those same very strict, very high standards. And then I'm sure many of you have heard about the trouble that Flint, Michigan was having with their water distribution system. There was lead in the water. So they neglected to put what's called corrosion inhibitor in the water. So the pipes weren't protected, and water's funny. I mean, we don't need to get into all the science. All I can say is water's funny. Water is, and I don't mean funny, haha. I mean, it's just water's tricky. But, you know, the water eventually ate away at the pipe, right? Because that corrosion inhibitor wasn't in it. So that lead broke down and entered the water system, and a lot of people were sick, and it was horrific. So, you know, there are certain things that we have to do to our water so it stays safe as it makes its way through its distribution system. So not to shame anyone and not to try to change your minds that, you know, you should drink tap water, but I just want you to understand why tap water is going to taste different, maybe have a different odor than bottled water, okay? And even bottle to bottle, they're all a little bit different, I think. So just wanted to clarify that there. Okay, so this is important to know as we exit, hopefully, quietly, hurricane season, knocking on wood right here. This is important to know. We have 10 water storage tanks located throughout the city. We have one located at Rangeline Road. There's one at Prineville, which is right off of Rosso. And then we have one up off of Midway at one of our other water treatment facilities. But we have 10 throughout the city of Port St. Lucie. So we can store 26 million gallons of water. So if a hurricane, knock on wood, should come, right, should knock on our door, don't go out and buy bottles and bottles and bottles of water. You're still going to have water service. We fill up those tanks. So if for some reason, you know, there is some sort of a power failure, now since I've been here and for a long time, we haven't experienced any disruptions in services. So during a hurricane, we haven't had to issue any boil water notices. You've still had water that's coming out of that faucet. Now, you may not prefer the taste, you know, you may like your bottled water, but instead of fighting the crowds, just tap in, literally, just go to your sink. We're still gonna be providing water throughout, okay? All right, so moving through, I mentioned this in the beginning, you know, McCarty Ranch Preserve, we purchased that property for the site of our future surficial water treatment plant, but down on the southern end of that property at McCarty Ranch Extension, that's the location of our water quality project. Now that runs parallel to the C-23 canal. So again, if you've you know, been around Florida for a little while, you know that we have problems. You know, the health of our river has been in jeopardy a number of times because of algal blooms. So what happens is, you know, the delicate balance gets thrown off. There's too much excess fresh water. There's too much nitrogen. There's too much phosphorus. And that just throws off the balance. And then these algae blooms bloom, right? So what this water quality project does is when the C-23 canal reaches a certain level, particularly in the rainy season, we can pump that water out and store it. You see the numbers there. You see 1 through 6 down on the southern end of that property. So each one of those is basically a holding facility, but we can pump that water into each one of those areas, and then it'll just naturally percolate back down into the ground. But we keep that water from flowing through the C-23 canal and then eventually making its way to the North Fork. So once this is complete, once this project is complete, we've built and finished and completed one area every year. So currently areas 1 and 2 are complete, they're functioning, they're working. That's what's really cool. You don't need to wait for the whole thing to be complete. These individual cells, as they are completed, can start working already. So we've already been able to store something like 80 million gallons of water. I mean, it's incredible. So, you know, we've had a particularly rainy season. We've had a couple horrific rain events, right, that have dumped a lot of rain. But this also holds water from the property. So any rainfall that falls on the property gets stored in these different areas. So that's a really cool project. I mean, we really are true environmentalists here in Utility System. So anything that we can do to help protect that river, you know, we are gonna do it. All right, so that's the clean part. So now we have to get into the dirty stuff. We have to get into the sewer side of things. All right, so I have another poll question, Avi, and the question was, Do you know what kind of sewer system you have at your home? So it's one of three. So you either have a septic system, you either have a grinder, or you're on a gravity system. So just want to see if you all out there know and can identify what kind of a system you're on. Oh, okay. Yes, thank you. Okay, sorry, I was having a little conversation with Alex. So we'll just give you a few minutes, or a few seconds actually, just to answer and just tell me what kind of system you're on. We're gonna talk about each one, but it just helps me to know and understand what kind of system everybody has. Some people don't know, and that's okay. Hopefully we can educate you. If you're unsure, I can give you some clues as to which one you may be on. So, you have some answers for me?
Do.
Okay.
Majority have grindo. So that's 48% have grindo.
Okay.
26 septic and 26% have gravity.
Okay, well, fantastic. All right, okay, so yeah, we've got a lot of grinders throughout the city of Port St. Lucie, but we're going to talk first, before we get into what each one of those systems does, let's just really quickly go through the sewer collection system. All right, so wastewater is anything, any wasted water that leaves your house. So anything that you flush, anything that goes down the kitchen sink, down the drain, out of the washing machine or the dishwasher, that's all wastewater, okay? I used to think kind of just the toilet, right? Because you think of that as waste, but it's anything that leaves your house, okay? So all of that wastewater is going to leave your home. I'm gonna move over to the table here. So all of that wastewater leaves your home out of a pipe that looks something like this, right? It's not very big. So this pipe leaving your home connects with the sewer system that's underground and in your neighborhood. We have 2 wastewater treatment plants in the city of Port St. Lucie. So we need a little extra help, right? Because we've got a lot of wastewater in that 1,100 miles of sewer main. So we need a little help just boosting it down the line. So we have lift stations. We have a couple hundred lift stations throughout the city of Port St. Lucie, and that's my middle picture there. You may have seen them. You may not really have known what they were. Some of them are more hidden by landscaping. Some are more exposed. But those lift stations just help move that wastewater further down the line. So as it moves further down the line, it gets one last boost from a booster pumping station. That's a picture of our Glades booster pumping station, just to give it that last push to one of those 2 wastewater treatment plants. And that's an aerial of our Glades wastewater treatment plant. It's located on Glades Cutoff Road. And I'm going to show you a video here in a moment that goes into more detail about what that plant does step by step. So as the wastewater enters the plant, it enters through what's called the headworks, right? So think about your body, right? So it starts up here and then works its way down. So at the headworks, that is where the trash that's flushed is separated out. People flush amazing things. It's crazy what comes in there, but people are flushing, diapers and feminine hygiene products and socks and towels and flannel shirts. I don't know how they make it this far. But anyway, at that point, all of that garbage is sifted out, and guess where it's taken? To the landfill. So you can really cut out that middle step and help us out by not flushing your trash. Your toilet is separate from your trash can. Keep those things separate. So once all the trash is sifted out, then it makes its way down into that area that's in the front of that picture, the foreground of that picture, and it kind of reminds me, I'm sorry to ruin this movie for you, but it kind of reminds me of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, right? So you've got that chocolate river. Sorry, the movie's been ruined for me too, it's cool. But anyway, you've got the chocolate river, right, that's coming through. And then that's where all those microorganisms live. That's my favorite part. I just find it so fascinating. So we need them to keep it healthy, to keep our our treatment process running more smoothly, if you will, and then our operator in the video will talk more about that. So the solids get separated out, and the solids actually go to a composting facility. So really, as much as we call it wastewater, nothing is wasted, which is really cool. So the solids get separated out, and then at the end of the chocolate river, it's no longer chocolate, it's clear, it's crystal clear, and that water is highly treated, highly disinfected, and it's sent to several customers who use it to water their community green spaces and to water their golf courses. So it's called reclaimed or reuse water. So it's highly treated, highly disinfected wastewater. We're not drinking that water, right? So it's two different processes, but that is used for irrigation purposes. And then whatever those customers don't use for irrigation, that treated wastewater gets pumped deep, deep, deep down below the superficial aquifer, below the Floridan aquifer, into a deep injection well where it can re-enter the earth, if you will, and then through artesian pressure kind of make its way back up, which is just, again, it's so fascinating to me. You really appreciate, when you flush something and it just goes away. Well, here's where it goes. All right, so here's a quick video about just a deeper look into the wastewater treatment process.
Well, welcome to the Glades Wastewater Treatment Facility, where we treat about half of what the city produces for wastewater. Everything starts out in the field, though. Here you can see the overview of the entire city. From here, we keep track of the individual lift stations themselves. We have every lift station in the city on this monitor here, and we keep track of them and they make sure everything's working to send the water to us. From the lift stations, it comes over here to the wastewater booster pump stations. There's 3 of those in the city. One's on the north side, we call it Northport Booster Station. Southport Booster Station is out towards Club Med, and then the Glades Booster Station out towards Tradition. Now we monitor everything 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Here we have our SCADA computers. SCADA stands for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. With these computers, we keep track of all the flows, pressures, pumps, anything that can be measured, we measure it and keep track of it. So as the flow comes up into the headworks, the first place it's going is the bar screen. This is where we want to remove anything that's not living. Anything inorganic, we want to catch it here in the bar screen. So all the flow goes through these teeth and these racks, and we want to catch it there so that only something small makes it through. And we want to remove all that, and it catches it in the back of the machine here. And as it comes down, we're squeezing all the water out of it. So it comes through here and it compacts it and squeezes the water out. Then from there it falls down a little chute, goes into a big dumpster, which we'll show you as we go through there. All right, so now that we've moved through the headworks and we've removed the garbage, we've removed the sand, and taken out all the things that the animals that treat the water would normally treat, the process comes to here. Now this is what we call the anoxic selector basin, and it starts here in the front of the selector basin. Now these are continuations of that anoxic process, where they're lesser amounts of oxygen, so the animals keep breaking the process down using the chemicals in the water. And so we keep track of the health of the bacteria and the animals in the water so that they can keep doing what they've got to do. So these are called the aerators. Now in the aerator, that's where a different part of the process, and the animals are able to use all the oxygen-rich environment to break down further parts of the waste stream. All that air is going to do 2 things for us. So we get the mixing from the air as it comes up through the process, and then the animals get all the oxygen they need to further break down the waste. So in each part of the process, we take samples every day. And the different tests that we run on the samples are going to tell us different things about the health of the animals in the water, the health of the overall process itself. And there's no fancy way to take a sample. The same way everybody's been taking samples for the last 40 years. And there's our sample. I'm just gonna rinse this off. Now that we've finished with the aeration part of the process, we're moving into the clarifiers. And right now we're using 2 clarifiers because that's how much process flow we've got coming in from the rest of the city. So we've got the 2 basins that are online, and what will happen is that mixed liquor, they're going to go into those clarifiers and they're going to settle out. So that only the clean stuff on top keeps going, and the solids get recirculated back to the front of the process. All of the clear liquid, all the clean water is going to stay on top. And it's going to come out and come over the weirs and move on down the process. Throughout the day, we take what we call as a blanket reading. And so this is what we call a sludge judge. And what we do is we take it down. Now you can see how clean the water is all the way down until the very bottom. So even though we've got all that water in there, there was only a foot of sludge at the bottom. So one of the things that we're doing here is removing more of the actual inorganic particles that weren't removed in the clarifier. Anything that didn't settle down, it stayed suspended in the liquid. And so these are what we call sand filters. And the way that works is that as the water comes up through the sand catches anything left in the water. When we make it through this process, we want to have the absolute least amount of anything floating in the water at that point. And everything that's clean, everything left over, well, that's as good as it gets here. And so it's going to come out and it's going to come over the weir. And you can see how clean that is. So this is the chlorine contact chamber. And what happens here is as the water comes through the sand filter, it's got the least amount of particles that we can get it to. And so what we do here is we inject it with chlorine. Now it's not quite the same as like your household bleach, but it's pretty close. But so what happens is it comes up here in the start of the chlorine contact chamber, and it travels along the pathway that the engineers have devised here. And the reason we have that long winding pathway is so that we can have 30 minutes of contact time. That contact time between the chemical, the disinfectant, and the bacteria, and the viruses, anything that's left in that water or on that surface, that contact time is what allows it to break down the outside of the organism and kill it. And if you don't have that contact time, then you're not properly disinfecting. We monitor the levels of everything. And anything that doesn't meet that high standard, we try to recirculate it back to the front of the plant. And then anything that's still good, but not quite as good as it has to be, will get sent down the deep injection well. So when the flow gets sent down the deep injection well, it doesn't look like much on the surface. It's just a pipe, but it has a casing around it. And what we've done at the bottom of that is we've perforated the casing to where we want it to go according to whatever the geologists tell us is the safe spot. We continually monitor everything that goes along with it so that if we see anything that's out of whack, we immediately bring the geologist out and make sure that everything is good. So anything that doesn't go down the deep injection well, we send that out with the same pumps. We just change a couple valves, reroute it, and then it goes right out to those holding ponds. So on this part of the process, we have removed a little percentage of the solids from the process. They're also condensed. And those condensed solids, We squeeze a little bit more water out of it, and we put it into a trailer. And that trailer takes the leftover solids from the process, and it sends it out to a composting facility. So one of the simplest tests that we run is a settle test. Now, earlier we took a sample from the end of the aerator because that's the final spot that most of the solids are going to be before we want them to separate for the rest of the process. So one thing we want to know fairly regularly is how quick does that happen, and does it happen well? So we take the sample, mix it up, and we pour it into the settleometer. So you can see how quickly, and you can see the particles separate the clean water from the mixed liquor fairly quickly. And now, as the time goes on, this will begin to settle and compact. And the measurement of where it gets to in that 30 minutes gives us a really good indication of how well our process is working. And you can already see it begin to compact as it moves down. Now, what ends up on the bottom of this settleometer is just the same as when we took that blanket sample out at the clarifier. The settled solids at the bottom, that's what's get pumped out right back to the front of the plant to keep doing the work. And that clean water, that's what's going to move on to the sand filter and get further cleaned, and then to the contact chamber and so forth. But that is the entire process in a little microcosm there. Thanks for joining me on this tour of the Glades Wastewater Treatment Facility. Hopefully I've explained in a relatively simplistic fashion and easy to understand way of how we take the dirty water and turn it into clean, reusable, recycled water by removing all the inorganics, keeping the organics, disinfecting the bacteria and viruses at the very end there, so that everything is safe and healthy and reusable.
So there we go. That was John Lamb, our chief operator at Glades. I mean, you can smell that video, can't you? I can smell it. It's a very particular smell, and on a windy day, it's worse. But again, it's so fascinating to me. And I've just learned so much. But remember, we had asked that question, what kind of system are you on? So most of you answered with a grinder system. So I just want to go through real quickly. There's 3 different kinds of sewer systems here in the city of Port St. Lucie. So this first picture here, this is a septic system. So just FYI, if you do have a septic system, obviously you know that, if you do lose power for whatever reason, your septic system is still going to work, right? So any of that wastewater that leaves your home enters this tank that's underground, and it displaces whatever is in there and pushes out what's in there into a drain field, right? So the solids sink to the bottom of the tank, the grease, the stuff from the kitchen sink kind of floats on top. And for those of you who have septic systems, I find that you take the best care of your septic system because you know that it requires care. You can't flush those things that I mentioned before. You can't flush socks and diapers and different things down. You have to take really good care of it because you want to extend the life of that septic system. Now, if that septic system should fail, particularly if you live close to a waterway, there is the potential that wastewater could leach into the groundwater or leach into the waterway. So, and again, I'm not telling you guys anything that you don't know. Septic system owners I feel like they're so good about it, again, because you want to extend the life. So there was a question that came up that Alex mentioned to me. Somebody wanted to know the cost of converting. So if your septic system does fail, or even if it hasn't failed, you just want to be proactive and you want to hook up to city sewer, it's just under $6,000 to connect, but you don't have to pay it all at once. We have a 10-year interest-free program, and then I think it's about $42 just gets tacked onto your bill each month, and then you have that 10 years to pay it off. But there's grant funding available, so if you would just give us a call, we can help you better navigate if you are looking to switch over. All right, so here's that grinder. Majority of you said you had a grinder system. So if you have a green lid in your front yard, that's what you have. You have a grinder. I have a visual here that I'm going to walk through in a moment. But remember, let's take a couple steps back to the history of the city of Port St. Lucie. Remember, we talked about, Port St. Lucie really wanted to update the infrastructure, okay? So there were a lot of septic systems, a lot of them were failing. We wanted to put in a system that was efficient and, not so disruptive and not so costly to everyone. So we went with the grinder system. It was voted on back then with the city council, and so we made the switch over to this grinder system. So I'm just going to fast forward real quick. So the other option would be a gravity system. So a gravity system is much more disruptive, right? So you have to dig deep into the ground to make sure that those mains are on an angle, okay? So gravity is just used to push the wastewater down the line. So, it's not just tearing up your lawn, it's gonna be, upending the driveway and the sidewalk and the roadway. So it's very disruptive and it's very costly. So that's why we went with this option, which is the grinder. So I'm gonna take you into the grinder with me here and explain to you the parts and pieces. Okay, so here we have our grinder display, and just so you know, this is a cutout. It doesn't go into the ground with this big hole in it, just to clarify. All right, so here's our grinder system. So all of the wastewater that leaves your home enters into this tank. It's about 250 gallons. There's a float system in here, so once the level in the tank reaches a certain level, that will activate the pump, which is this green thing down here. So that pump's about, I'd pick it up for you, but I'm not that strong. The pump is about 90 pounds, and below the pump are blades, right? Like a blender or grinder, right? And that's why it's called a grinder, because it grinds up the solids. Now imagine if you're flushing towels and diapers and things, those things are going to get wound around those blades, and what's going to happen is now the water can't be sucked up and sent out into the sewer system. This tank is just going to continue to fill and fill and fill. If you take a long shower, if you're doing laundry, this tank will just fill, and then once it reaches a certain level, then that's going to sound the alarm. Now we have reached the danger zone. Many of you have probably heard that alarm go off, and usually it's at the worst time ever, but then that is your signal that you have to call us because something is happening in here. So you go out to the side of your house. This is your electrical panel, and just FYI, you may not know this, but once that alarm sounds, the red light will go off. You can actually silence the alarm. On the other side here, there's a sensor. If you just wave your hand in front of it, that'll silence the alarm. But the problem isn't fixed. You still have to call us. Anytime, day or night, any day of the year, we will come out and fix it. And majority of the time, it's because something is stuck in this pump. So whether you're on a septic system or a grinder system or a gravity system, you have to make sure you're doing everything you can on your end to not flush trash, to not flush garbage, to not flush that stuff that really has no reason to enter the sewer system. So that's a look inside your grinder. Okay, so those are the three different kinds of sewer systems that we have here in Port St. Lucie. So now this was another poll question. So we are battling toilet paper and wipes. I haven't mentioned wipes, but we're going to talk about that. The poll question is, are wipes flushable? Can you flush wipes? What do you think? Can you flush wipes? Some of them are flushable and they say flushable on the container, and then some of them say do not flush. So you at home will give you a couple seconds to tell me whether you can flush wipes or not. We'll see what everybody says here. What do we have?
We have 96 people, 96% said no. Almost 100.
That you cannot flush wipes. Oh, I could just go to heaven right now. Thank you, guys. You're absolutely right, and I'm going to show you why. So let's move over to the table. So we're just going to do a quick little flush test. So many of you know, even if the package says flushable, for me, do it for me. Don't flush them. Don't do it. You wouldn't flush your wedding ring, right? You wouldn't flush a $20 bill. Don't flush wipes. Not that wipes have the same value as those things, but wipes will absolutely clog your system. So real quick, we're going to pretend that these are toilets up here. I'm going to put toilet paper in this one and whisk it around. Okay? I'm going to show you what happens once this toilet paper is in the water. It's agitated. Even that really fancy, the toilet paper with the bears, you know, they're really comfortable, right? They're really, plush, luxurious toilet paper, the 3-ply or whatever it is, will do the same thing. So here I am. You saw me, I just whisked a little bit, and here it is. Those 4 squares of toilet paper, you can't even identify them anymore, right? As toilet paper or squares. They've completely fallen apart. They're dissolving, they're breaking down. That is exactly what toilet paper is meant to do. So let me try to get this off. Okay, all right, so moving to the next one. Here I have wipes. Now, not to knock all wipes, because this one there is a picture and it says do not flush, so thank you, whatever brand you are. But I'm going to show you what happens. Oh, we got 2. All right, I'm going to put a wipe in here. And we're going to whisk that around. Whisking, whisking, whisking. It's like an infomercial, right? Like Vanna White up here. Okay. All right, so I am really giving it a go here. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a magic trick. You ready? Okay. Magic words. Alakazam. Look at that. That wipe is completely intact. You can see the corners. It did not break down. It did not fall apart. And it's not going to, not anytime soon, I guarantee you. But again, most of the issues that we have when that grinder is sounding the alarm, it's these. These are horrific. It's like they gang up on you, and they're magnets, and they hook together, and then they tear up your grinder. They tear up everything. And those septic system owners out there, you know that these do not go in. You guys don't flush these. You guys are so good about it. But our other friends, we need to make sure that we are keeping wipes out of the sewer system, because wipes clog pipes. If you remember one thing from me today, please let it be that. Okay, so we've done our little flush test. Ooh, and it wouldn't be Utility Systems presentation without some really gross photos. So this is my friend Frank. So this is at the Glades Booster Pump Station. So this is a tremendous amount. We call them rags because they just all kind of, feminine hygiene products, whatever else that gets flushed. This is just a huge clump, mostly of wipes, that somehow made their way through the sewer system, made their way through lift stations, and hit one of our booster pump stations. And my man Frank there, he has to manually remove them and pull them out. It looks like he's holding a giant sloth, but he had to pull all of those out so this pumping station can continue to do its job. This happens more often than Frank cares for, but it happens a lot. So please, you guys, please think of Frank and don't flush any wipes. All right, so now we're gonna get into fog. So, we think a lot about wastewater coming, from the bathroom, but there's actually a tremendous amount of wastewater coming from the kitchen. So things like bacon, poor bacon always gets blamed for everything, but when you fry up bacon, you have that grease in the pan, right? So some people actually save the grease, they use it for future cooking projects. Some people dump it down the sink, and then some people trash it. Again, I'm begging you, keep it out of our sewer system. Do not put it down the sink. If you're, firing up the Fry Daddy, you're gonna French fry some fries or whatever. Just keep all of that excess oil, that stuff that you're not gonna use. Please, please, please don't dump it down the sink. I'm gonna show you what happens when that goes down the sink. All right, so here is my pipe, just a little short one though. So this is what the pipe looks like that leaves your house. So this is what the pipe, oh, there's hair in it, nice. So this is what happens when the pipe gets coated with all of that fog, those fats, oil, and grease that are coming from your kitchen sink. Just like your own body, if you're not eating super healthy and you're eating bacon every day and eating a lot of those fried foods, your arteries get clogged, right? Well, think about this like your artery. So you've got that buildup of fog. And so what happens is it takes a pipe this size and just makes it that much smaller. So that wastewater has a harder time traveling through because that fog enters the system and then it hardens around, okay? So that definitely causes a problem. I'm going to show you now on the screen what happens when it makes its way to the wastewater treatment plant. So more grossness. I love it. I hope nobody's eating dinner. So this is what fog looks like when it enters the wastewater treatment plant. It's about the texture of peanut butter, but far less pleasant. So again, there's my friends, Bruce and Katie. They have to manually, with gloved hands, they have to pull a lot of this out. So remember, wastewater, it gets highly disinfected and highly treated, so we can use it for irrigation purposes. When there's this amount of fog, fats, oil, and grease coming through, we can't make reuse. We can't treat it enough. You can only get so much of the fog out, and we have to have more wastewater coming through actually to kind of flush that fog out. So unfortunately, those customers who we provide reuse for, we have to give them our treated drinking water, and that's not a good use of our resources. So again, keep the trash out of the sewer system and keep the fog, the fats, oil, and grease out of the sewer system. All right, I've grossed you guys out enough. There is a beautiful picture of some of our connection support staff. Those are the lovely faces that answer the phone when you call. If your grinder, is sounding, if you have any questions about anything, here's just a handful of the folks that answer those questions. So Alex, I know we had lots of questions coming through as I was
Yes,
yapping.
thank you so much, Jenny.
Yes, absolutely.
It's always super informative. We appreciate it. So there were a number of questions kind of about a similar topic.
Okay.
So I'm just going to paraphrase and combine them into one.
Okay.
But a lot of people are asking why in different locations or different homes, the water can look or smell or taste different, and it can also cause different reactions on silverware or, maybe rust if you use it in a steam cleaner or anything like that. Or why does my water taste different and I live near City Hall, and the restaurant that I go and eat at in St. Lucie West, their tap water tastes different than at my house? It's all Port St. Lucie, isn't it?
Yes, sure. But Port St. Lucie's funny because, we have our water and sewer, right, within the city of Port St. Lucie, but St. Lucie West is actually its own district. So even though you are a resident of Port St. Lucie, if you live in St. Lucie West, your water and sewer services come from St. Lucie West Services District. We all treat the water the same way. We use the same reverse osmosis treatment process. We tap into the same wells, but it's a different system than what we have. It's a different distribution system. So that may be why maybe you said, the tap water at Cheddar's in St. Lucie West tastes different than the water, at my home in Port St. Lucie. So, and there are some pockets too that, although it may seem like you're in Port St. Lucie, they're unincorporated St. Lucie County. So we've got just a couple like little pockets like that. But as far as, rust in the water, I'm not sure. You may be on a well, you may not be on city water. If you have a well, a lot of people have both. They have a city well, city water, but then, maybe they irrigate their lawn by using a well, and you see kind of those rust stains on the side of the house. It's because, a lot of superficial wells have iron in them. So that could be an issue. I think one of the other questions was, like a pink ring around the toilet. And honestly, it's just from water sitting. A quick, what's that scrubber, that toilet scrubber brush. That'll take it right off. It's just from water sitting stagnant. So that's part of that.
Yeah, so different elements can come up in different sources of water all over the state and all over the country.
Absolutely.
So
and think about too, if you are close to one of our water treatment facilities, if you live near our Prineville water treatment plant, and that water's coming directly from the plant, it hasn't made its way through that 1,200 miles of distribution system. So yeah, you are going to notice some differences if you're close to our plant versus if you're kind of at the end of the line. You may experience just a different taste.
Great. So then we also talked about converting. Please just reminder to everyone, if you're thinking about converting or if you're worried about not being able to afford it, we do have programs, so definitely contact us and get as much information as possible about that. But if you do have a grinder, is there a monthly fee to maintain it?
No, you have to pay for the conversion, right? You have to pay for that part of it. There is an application fee, and don't quote me on it. I think it's about $120 to apply to get that process started. But right now we're at about it's a 4 to 6 week waiting period because we've got a lot of folks switching over. We have a lot of people moving here and wanting to make that switch. But yes, again, so it's just under $6,000 to convert. So you will have to pay, for the conversion costs, and then you will now have a bill, just like you pay your water bill, you will have a sewer bill that you have to pay, and that's different depending on your usage.
But everything's comprehensive in your sewer bill. You pay
It's
your
broken
sewer
down.
bill and you get the services of the city or St. Lucie
Absolutely.
West Utilities. You don't pay any separate fees if someone comes out to maintain something.
No, not at all. If there's anything wrong, I mean, you don't call a plumber. If you have a grinder system, you absolutely do not call a plumber. You call us. You call 873-6400. Like I said, anytime, day or night, any day of the year, we will come out and fix it. Now, if there's negligence, if somebody parks their huge car on top of the lid and the lid breaks and then that's an issue. But I mean, just for, regular wear and tear, or if something gets clogged, if something happens, or, sometimes things just, stop working or whatever it is. I mean, we absolutely come out and fix it. There is no charge for us to come out and do any kind of service on that grinder system.
Okay, and last question about lift stations.
Yes.
So sometimes you can smell things
Yes.
near a lift station. So the questions are, why do lift stations smell? And do they function during a power outage? And why does wastewater back up through toilets sometimes?
Okay, so I might have you remind me of some of those questions, but I'm going to start with, why do lift stations smell? So we know we've got the Chocolate River flowing beneath the ground, right? So lift stations, we are in the process of not only kind of beautifying the lift stations to make them look better, just so they're a little more hidden, kind of blend in with landscaping, but we are in the process of putting odor control systems in many of them. Some already have them. But that odor control, it just helps sort of naturally kind of mitigate and absorb. They're mulch beds. So those fumes kind of rise up, and then the mulch bed actually traps the smell. So we are in the process of installing many of those, but it takes time, and we have I think we have just under 300 lift stations all over the city, so we have quite a few that we're working on. But they do run on, obviously, power. They all have generators, so if for some reason there is a power failure, they will switch over to generator power, and then they continue to work. I'm sorry, there was a third question.
So then it's the backing up through the toilet.
The backing up through
Why
the
does that
toilets.
happen?
Well, it could be any number of things. I don't know what kind of system you're on, but for instance, if you have a grinder system and you're experiencing a backup, please call us. Obviously, something's going on with the grinder. So think about this grinder. It holds 250 gallons worth of wastewater. So if that thing fills up, it's naturally, if you try to flush, it's got nowhere to go. So it's going to stay in the house, and it can rise up through the toilet.
Okay, and I'm just going to take these last two questions and then
Okay.
we'll move on for
Okay.
time. But so going back to the whole composition of water, and we're talking about the different aquifers. Some can have limestone, some can have more calcium, some well waters can have things that contribute to rust. Mr. Art is saying we have a new house that is small and destroying our brand new silverware. Water and sewer is very expensive, but they feel like the water quality is very bad.
Okay.
Is there someone that they can talk to about that, or
Yes.
to find out? Because it could just be a specific particular situation of a certain area, because it's not normal.
Right.
So
And it may be, I don't know. I live in a very old home, so I had my water quality tested just because of the pipes. I didn't kind of know what the situation was. But absolutely call 873-6400. Remember, I mentioned in the beginning, we have that NELAC certified lab. We have lab technicians that can come out to your home and actually do a water quality test. We have water quality reports available so you can really see a breakdown of what's in the water. But moreover, if you give that number a call, 873-6400, a lab technician can be scheduled to come out and test the water that's entering your home. And then
That
maybe
way,
we can
yeah.
break it down by then. It's hard from this distance to kind of,
Yeah.
right? But
It-
yeah,
it
definitely
must
call
be
a lab tech.
particular situation, so we'll try and,
knows,
and
yeah.
get to the bottom of it. And then very last question, conversion fees, right? So there's the conversion fee of the city helping you convert from septic to sewer, but what about impact fees for new buildings? It seems like those are much more expensive than what a regular homeowner would pay. Do you know about that, or is that something we should talk to building about? And
That would be building, our connection support division would have more, I think, understanding of that as well. So I apologize for not having that information.
it's okay, we'll get it to them afterwards. But thank you so much, Jenny.
Yes.
It was a fantastic presentation. We really appreciate your interactivity, even if it was all on stage, but it was great.
good.
It was fantastic.
Good.
Thank
for
you.
the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
Well, thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of City University. Okay.
Is this it already? Oh, okay. So our next two presenters are wonderful project managers from Public Works, Mr. Dan Giese and Richard Perkins. You know, we do a lot of communicating, we do a lot of in the field work, but it requires a lot of planning and it requires a lot of planning and a lot of experience, and these guys are here to tell us how it's done. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Richard Perkins from the City of Port St. Lucie Public Works Department, along with Dan Giese. We're going to basically go over the layout of the Public Works Department and how it's set up. My name is Richard Perkins. I'm a project manager. I've been employed with the City of Port St. Lucie for 25 years. My daily duties includes I oversee the warehouse operation for the department, the safety for the department. I purchase new equipment for the department. Along with that, I am the fleet manager for the Public Works Department.
Yes, I'm Dan Giese. I am with Public Works Department. I've been with the city for 38 and a half years. So when Jenny was talking about all these utility things that were going on over all these years, I was there to probably witness most of it. When I started with the city, there was probably 12 to 15,000 people in the city of Port St. Lucie. Now we're up around 200,000, I believe. So I've seen a lot of growth.
12,000 to 200,000?
So American Public Works Association, we were accredited July 20th, 2001. We were the first accredited agency, public works agency in the state of Florida. We were number 5 in the United States. And we've been reaccredited 4 different times, and I think we're up for reaccreditation in 2022.
Yes, sir. What is Public Works? Everybody wants to know what Public Works is. Well, it's a long paragraph there what Public Works is. Public Works are a broad category of infrastructure projects. We're financed and constructed by the government for recreational, employment, health, and safety use in the greater community. If you look throughout the city, you see a lot of Public Works employees doing all kinds of jobs. We dig swells, we do surveying, we mow grass, we pick up litter. That's just some of the things that we do on a daily basis. We're a public service. We treat, as you were, for public service, water supply, treatment of sewage treatment, electrical grinders and dams, and other unusual long-term physical assets and facilities, often interchangeable with public infrastructure and public capital. Public Works does not necessarily carry an economic component, therefore being a broader term. We do very, very many different jobs. City of Port St. Lucie Public Works Department consists of the following. We have 918 miles of paved roadways we have to maintain. Maintain them, we fix potholes, we do overlays on them, we remove the culverts and replace the culverts. We have over 30,000 roadway signs have to be inventoried yearly. They have to be maintained. We also have 3,711 pedestrian and street street lights. The street lights are behind your houses. They're all throughout the city. There's 105 traffic signals we have to maintain also. We have to maintain them no matter what, during a storm, at night, or whenever. We have people on call to take care of that. We have 34 flashing signals also we have to maintain. There's 100 miles of fiber optic cable throughout the city that helps us communicate from department to department. We have fiber optic cable all the way out to Glades Cutoff that comes back into City Hall. There's 30 bridges or more we have to maintain, along with a new one, which is Crosstown. That's another one we have to maintain. Just maintaining the bridge isn't all of it. We still have to mow the grass. We still have to pick up the litter, trim the trees, and it's a lot to the bridges, and also maintain them. There's 210 miles of sidewalks. If you look around the city, sidewalks are going in just about every day. Every time we put down a sidewalk, we got to maintain it. There's 200 miles of drainage canals we have to maintain. We have 4 canal excavators that we utilize to go into the canals and the drainage right-of-ways to keep them clean where the storm water will flow. We have 1,440 acres of greenbelt. Greenbelt is, if you look out by canal banks on your canal easements, that's the greenbelts. We have to maintain them also. There is 1,100 acres of ponds and lakes. That's retention ponds. There's lakes. We have 840 acres of wetlands. Wetlands are all over. Savannah's a wetland. If you go out to east side of town, we got Tiffany Pump Station and Blackwell Pump Station. If you look out there, you see the wetlands out there and the ponds and stuff we have to maintain. There's over 6,000 culverts throughout this city that has to be maintained on a daily basis. There's 195 water control structures, 3 stormwater pumping stations that pushes all the stormwater east of town to keep the city from flooding. Plus, there's 25,000 plus trees and plants throughout the city of Port St. Lucie that has to be maintained. A couple slides after this, we'll talk about employees, how many employees it takes to maintain all of this and how many we have in our department. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, as you can see, we have 120 square miles in the city of Port St. Lucie. When I first started, like Jenny was saying earlier, there was 80 square miles. We're up to 120 square miles now, population of 200,000, and we're growing every single day. I mean, we have so many houses going. If you go out, anywhere you go in the city of Port St. Lucie, you're going to see new houses going up. And permits are probably, we're getting like 200 plus permits a month on new houses going in right now. So the city is really growing fast.
Like I was talking about, if you look at this chart here, this is our organizational chart. There are 9 divisions within the Public Works Department that maintains the city. We have a administration division. We have a customer service division, our regulatory division. We have a survey and mapping division. We have an engineering and CIP division. We have environmental division, fleet and facility division, which I oversee. We have a drainage division and streets division and a support division. The Public Works Department has 130 full-time employees that oversees the maintenance of the city. Of everything I talked about before, the square mileage we have, the culvert, these are the 130 employees that have to maintain it on a daily basis. We get a service call, we have 24 hours to respond to correct the service request. So 130 employees don't seem like much, but we get a lot done every day. Along with doing that, they dig the swells, they put in the liner, they're replacing culvert pipes, driveway pipes, mowing grass. Well, you name it, they're doing it. They're picking up litter. The Public Works Department has 4 facilities. We have the Dwyer compound, which is located on Dwyer. That houses our Traffic Operations Division. The Traffic Operations Division oversees your street lights, your traffic signals. They oversee our fiber optic cable. The Biltmore facility consists of the Traffic Repair Division. They do your signs, your stop signs, street signs, and plus repair traffic signals. The Thornhill compound, which is located on Thornhill, that houses the Fleet Maintenance Division, houses the Drainage Division, the Streets Division, Environmental Division. They're all housed out of that. 90% of the Public Works employee works out of the Thornhill location. The City Hall location, Building B, 2nd floor, is where all of our administration people work out of, and that's where you would get your permits for driveway pipe or anything else.
Okay, here's the different divisions and their responsibilities. Administration is customer service. They have request for services. They have the City 311 if you want to call in. If you have some kind of a request for services, you can call or go on that site. We also process permits, schedule inspections, budget preparation, invoicing, records management, personnel issues, and keep Port St. Lucie beautiful. And the regulatory division's responsibility is development review, permitting, construction inspection, capital improvement projects, water quality programs. And the survey GIS responsibilities is maintain city official legal descriptions, maintain city's drainage base map, maintain and densify vertical control datum, review subdivision plats, and creation of asset mapping systems.
The next division we'll speak about is the Road and Bridge Division. The Road and Bridge Division basically maintains and operates of streets and bridges. They kind of oversee the bridges and the streets throughout the city. Plus they do traffic signals. They do the street lighting, school zones and flashers, and fiber optic network. Basically, that is our traffic operations. That's kind of what they do on a daily basis. Then we have our streets division. Basically, they do resurfacing, repaving, pothole repair. I know a lot of y'all drive down the road and you see the potholes in the road. You call it in, 871-5100, put in a service request. We send the crew out, we fix the pothole. Without us knowing that there is a pothole there, we don't know to fix it. So if you happen to see a pothole in the road, please report it. Street sweeping, we run street sweeping operation also. We have a street sweeper that runs 4 10-hour days a week from Sunday to Thursday, and they run at night when everybody's asleep. Basically from 9 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning, they're out sweeping the roadways. Sidewalks, we put in sidewalks and we do sidewalk repair, signage and pavement markings, and they also do after hours emergency response. For example, if there's a spill in the road, this division would go out and clean it up. They also do utility locates. They do traffic monitoring and studies. They do road closure and detours. If a road has to be closed, they do the paperwork. Plus, they're also in charge of capital improvement projects within the department. Our environmental division, I know y'all see a lot of them around. They do a lot of contractual work. We mow the Crosstown Parkway. We pick up litter, but our environmental division does a lot of that. They're in charge of all the mowing throughout the city of Port St. Lucie. That's on the green belts, the right-of-ways, and the medians. They do landscape trimming. You see the people in the medians trimming bushes, trimming trees, pulling weeds. They're in charge of fertilization and pest control also. Aquatic vegetation. They're responsible for spraying the canals and maintaining the vegetation in the canals. Irrigation systems, they're over the irrigation systems throughout the city. They're in charge of drainage structures and stormwater pump station. We have 2 stormwater pump stations east of town, which is Blackwell Pump Station and Tiffany Pump Station. The next division is the Fleet and Facility Division. We have 150 vehicles within our fleet. I manage 6 facilities, which I spoke about before: the Wire Complex, Biltmore, Thornhill, the City Hall building, 2nd floor, Tiffany Pump Station, along with Blackwell Pump Station. I'll also oversee the warehouse inventory for our department.
Okay, this is where my specialty is the swale drainage. I oversee the drainage designs and the putting together the survey crews that go out there and set the elevations for the swale liner. The swale liner is the plastic thing that's in your swale that kind of helps with the drainage. It kind of gets the water moving a little bit faster and trying to get it out of your front yard. And we also do the culvert clean out, repair, and replacement. We do a lot of those all over the city. The city's actually old enough now to where all these metal culvert pipes underneath the roads are starting to fail. So the more storms we get, the more use these pipes get. These pipes are starting to fail like pretty much all over the city. So we're trying to replace them with concrete pipe instead of these old metal pipes because they rust out. And so it's it's a battle that we're continually working on, like daily. They seem to keep getting worse and worse because of the infrastructure so old. And we do the swale improvements. I don't know if you've been out and about, you've probably seen a lot of our trucks out there digging the swales. We get a lot of requests for services because swales hold water. We get a lot of water, a lot of rain, especially here lately. We've had so much rain. We've had probably 20 inches of rain in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And I mean, so the requests for services are coming in continuously. We're trying to keep up with it. We also take care of inlets. We do baffle box cleanouts, which the baffle box is just an inlet with a structure inside of it. It kind of helps with the quality, the water quality. And we maintain and clean all the pipe systems throughout the city.
The next thing we're going to speak about is the operating budget for fiscal year 2020-21. If you look at the graphic here, we have a total operating budget of $32,109,346. That's what our operating budget is for this fiscal year that started in October. If you look at the graph, the biggest division we have using the operating budget is the drainage division. They use 41% of our budget, which is $13,183,103. The next biggest division we have is our environmental division. They would utilize 28% of the budget, which is $8,928,158. And the other 3 divisions use up the rest of our operating budget, which is road and bridge uses 18%. Our administration division uses 10%, and our regulatory division uses 3%. That's a lot of money. That's $32 million that we use every year to maintain this city under our operating budget. Some of our funding sources on the operating side.
Yes, I mean, as you can see, we have the local option tax, gas tax, stormwater fees, the property tax, which is the ad valorem, regular division fees, and motor fuel tax rebate. Capital improvements, local option gas tax, stormwater fees, property tax, road impact fees, grants when available, state and or federal funds when available, developer contributions, and the half-cent infrastructure sales tax.
All right, the next thing we're going to talk about a little bit is the half-cent sales tax. If you look at this slide here, half-cent sales tax approved by voters 55% to 45%. The half-cent sales tax makes better roads, more sidewalks, and cleaner rivers. And this passed back in, I guess, November 6, 2018, okay? And if you look on the far right, Port St. Lucie projects that were approved for this half-cent sales tax. And this program is a 10-year program. It just ain't for a couple years, it's 10 years. And if you look on the right there, it talks about the proposed projects. St. Lucie West, we had like 2, 4, 5 projects that was approved. We had the interchange at Cashmere, it has been completed. The interchange at California was completed. The interchange at Peacock has been completed. And the interchange at Bayshore has been completed. So we are completing projects. The next one we talk about is the sidewalk project, the repaving project, and we had some traffic signal coordination projects. The one at a Crosstown Parkway has been completed already. If you look at Floresta, we have 3 projects there at the Floresta. One of them is South Bend and Elkan is under construction. Elkan to Crosstown is under the design phase, and Crosstown to Prima Vista is in the design phase. So we are moving along at the Floresta. Torino intersection improvement, the California roundabout's been completed, and the Cashmere roundabout has been completed. So that's a total US 1 improvement is to be done. We have a total of $81,900,000 in projects to be done on a half-cent sales tax. Got anything?
I would just like to say that the Floresta project is the widening project. So they're gonna widen Floresta from Port St. Lucie Boulevard to Prima Vista in 3 different phases.
All right,
Go ahead.
recent projects. If you notice, I don't know how many of y'all been up on Gatlin, down by the Home Depot, down by 95. You see some construction on the south side there. That's going to be a bus transfer station. They're working on right now. It should be here in 21. So they're putting in a bus transfer station, park and ride lot. It's right on the east side of Home Depot. And if you look at these pictures here, the top left picture there is where we have done resurfacing of pavement. The next one is a roundabout that has been completed. We've done sidewalks, Crosstown Parkway Bridge, and underground drainage. What happened here?
Okay, yeah, I'm sure you've all been down the Crosstown Parkway. It's a beautiful, beautiful road now. I think it is, and the bridge itself is just awesome when you look over both sides. But it also won some awards, as you can see. The American Association of Highway and Transportation Officials, the category was pre-construction engineering, 100 million or greater. The award was most value-added proposal. The Florida Transportation Builders Association, the category was Florida's Best in Construction. The award was a local agency program award. The Engineering News Record, Southeast Region, the category Highway and Bridge, and it was awarded the best project. Design Build Institute of America, the category was Transportation Structures, and it was awarded the Project of the Year.
Some of our challenges. We got aging city infrastructure. Dan's been talking about infrastructure since we started. It is getting old and we have to maintain it. Maintain attractive communities, multi-mode transportation demands, public engagement, qualified recruits, keeping up with the population growth. If you ever want to contact the Public Works Department, there's 3 different ways you can contact us. You can contact us on 1PSL, which is the PSL app. You can email us at thecityofportstlucie.com, or you can call one of our customer service representatives at 772-871-5100. Yes, sir. I got one other thing I'd like to speak about real quick. Our department we are real big into debris management. If there's a storm coming, our department, we are the debris managers for the city of Port St. Lucie. We have a total of 8 different debris sites throughout the city. And once a storm has been named and say it comes in, we have to gear up to pick up debris. And basically our department is responsible for that.
And we're first responders
We're first responders
for any
to-
kind of a storm. So we'd be the first ones out there, trying to pick up and move stuff around so that the fire trucks and Florida Power and Light, everybody else can get around and try to do their jobs.
Well, at this time, that's all we have. Are there any questions?
Of course. Thank you all so much. And one of the biggest things that comes across, like right off the bat in your presentation, is the huge numbers of things that we maintain, not just because that's what Public Works does, but also because the city is so big and growing. So, how do you guys plan for expansion? Like, how much more do you think we're going to be adding on that, and how quickly is that coming on? Is that something that's incorporated in the budget, and is it constantly growing? Like, right now we have 3 pump stations. Are there plans for future pump stations, or is that what capital improvement projects are for?
That's what the capital improvement projects are for. Right now, the 2 big ones we have is Blackwell and Tiffany. Back when they did the EWIP project about, 5 years ago or so, Dan, that's when they put in the Cletus pump station. And it kind of it pushes the water towards Blackwell and Tiffany. So right now, as far as we know, there's no.
There are plans to redo some of the control structures throughout the city. West of US 1, a lot of the stuff is done through control structures, and a lot of it's getting old, so a lot of it has to be redone, and it has to be brought up to standards. So the way that they were back when GDC put this stuff in is all different now. All your environmental, everything has changed, so we have to try to keep up with the times, and that's, moving forward, we're just trying to keep up with, when the storms come in, we try to make sure that the water's gonna not flood anybody out. So that's why we have the pump stations east of US 1, that's why he talks about the EWIP program. And when they did the EWIP, I think that happened back when they had a lot of flooding over there off of Mariposa back in.
Hold on, let's tell people what EWIP is, where it's located.
Eastern Watershed program. It's behind Sam's Club off of US 1, Mariposa, Leonard Road, all in there. Flooded at one time. I think it was back in 2009. We had a ton of rain that hit us all at once, and people couldn't even get to their homes. We had to take them home in dump trucks and however else we could get them home. So that's what started this Eastern Watershed program. And we spent, I think it was like $6 million on this program. And I tell you, it really did a great job, because I hear nothing but good things from people over there east of US 1 with the drainage now, and they don't have that issue anymore.
So it's really important to know that Public Works isn't just maintaining what we have, but a large part of your job is also, keeping an eye out on the future and planning for the future and planning capital improvement projects. And you mentioned one of the biggest ones coming up is Floresta. We just concluded a huge project that was decades in the making, that was crosstown. And excuse me, now we're working on Floresta. What are some other big projects that people should be expecting in the next few
We have
years?
a paving program, which I think a lot of people, they really want to know when their roads are going to be paved. So if they call 871-5100, they can talk to somebody. We can tell them when their roads are on the schedule to be repaved. We have a 10-year, I think it's a 10 to a 20-year paving program. So we know exactly where the paving is going to be every single year, where they're going to pave. And at the same time they do the paving is when we go out and we do an inventory on the culvert pipes underneath the roads. We have what's called road swales in some areas where there's not a pipe, the water kind of runs across the road, but sometimes it doesn't, it just sits there.
Yeah.
So we're trying to eliminate all these road swales. We try to get rid of all the old pipes that are rusted out, that are no good, so that we can, once we pave that road, we don't have to go back and cut that road to take out an old pipe to put a new pipe in. And like I mentioned before, we're taking out all the metal culvert pipes that are rusted out, and we're replacing them with concrete pipe, which you don't have to worry about those things rusting out. They're gonna be there for pretty much ever.
Sure. So when we go in and install a sidewalk somewhere, we're also changing and adapting the drainage system, and we're adding cement culverts.
Yes, whenever we do a widening of any kind of road or anything, that we always include all the infrastructure, the pipes, the sidewalks, everything goes along with it. So even when we do paving of the rural areas where there's no sidewalks, and you got the swales in the front yards, we try to take care of all of that before they put the roads in. So we're constantly have a relationship with the guys that oversee the overlaying of the roads.
Yeah. A lot of people ask me, you know, because I do the neighborhood meetings, and they're like, why doesn't the city just put sidewalks everywhere? And that would be great, but it's practically impossible. You have to do it in a phased approach. You have to do it slowly, because we physically just can't afford it, right? People are shocked when they know what the price tag is of like a mile of sidewalk, right? And all the design, what, you want to talk about how much it costs?
Well, I mean, I'm saying it's probably, what is it? Yeah, it's about $1 million a mile is what I was gonna say, yeah, $1 million a mile.
Right, because we have to do it right.
Exactly. And I mean, you know, to get back to a little bit of history of Port St. Lucie, like Jenny was saying, she did a great job with what I mean, I was impressed.
Yeah,
I mean, we're not as good as she is. She's very good with, she's a good communicator, and she does that for a living. But, you know, general development, when they developed the city, they did it to try to get people down here. So they tried to keep the taxes low. In order to keep the taxes low, they did the swale systems, the open ditches, they did no sidewalks, they did it as cheap as possible to try to keep the taxes low. This was initially, it was a retirement community. But as you can see over the years, it's changed. It's not that way anymore. So when GDC went bankrupt, the city of Port St. Lucie ended up trying to take over and do everything. And that's including putting the sidewalks, and we're trying to keep up with the times. But if, you know, GDC had 5 sister cities in Florida. If you go to Palm Bay, you can go down the roads down there, and you're gonna swear you're in Port St. Lucie, because everything looks the same.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that. What are
we
the
are
5?
so far advanced over the rest of those cities.
So that's a very good point, that, you know, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. What GDC did, they did. We're working on it. We've been working on it. And you all do a fantastic job of, you know, everything we do it well. And the city slowly is transforming. It's transforming, it's growing, and we're getting there. You know, it's just going to take time. And it's not just Port St. Lucie, it's other places across the state, and different cities have different problems. You know, we're good at some things, and other things we have to improve on more. So one last quick question about swale liners. We talked about calling 871-5100. You can also call the 1PSL line. You can download the 1PSL app. If you call someone to come and fix your swale liner, does it cost money for you?
No. We have if somebody calls and has a complaint or a drainage issue, what we do is we send inspectors out, and they will inspect the situation, and they'll get with the resident, and we do it within 48 hours. Anybody that...
And you don't get charged?
No, there's no charge. We go out there, we talk to them, we try to figure out what's going on, and then we try to put it on a schedule if there's something that needs to be addressed immediately. If it's a safety issue or something like that, we try to put it on a schedule to take care of it right away. And sometimes it's not as severe as some people think. If there's water in your swale, I mean, that's what it's designed for. It's designed to have water in it. for a certain period of time. If it sits there for 2 or 3 days and it goes away, it's probably okay. If it sits there for weeks or months or something, now we got an issue.
Okay.
So,
But on average, I think they say if it's there more than 7 days, call, but more or less give it a week, especially after like a big storm, right?
exactly, yeah, you gotta, if we get a ton of rain, like 20 inches of rain like we've gotten lately, we've had water issues all over the place, and the phone call, the phone's just ringing off the hook.
Yeah.
And we got 2 inspectors that go out, and I've been dealing with it too. I go out and try to talk to people, especially like with these new homes going in all over the place. You got older homes, you got newer homes, you got newer homes at higher elevations than the older homes, and you got the swales in between the houses. The older houses aren't working like they should, so the newer houses go in, they got to try to correct the problem, try to get the water to come out of the backyards to the front swale. There's a lot of different issues that we have to deal with every day,
Well, thank you.
especially with the growth.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. No, nothing's perfect, and we live in a great city. We've got a lot of opportunities, but at the same time, there are challenges, and there's just things that we have to talk out and figure out the best way forward.
Yes.
But thank you all for your wonderful work. We appreciate any other questions. I'll get them to you, and you can answer them, in email during business hours.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.
Yep,
Thank you.
very good, Dan.
Thank you.
All right, just for the sake of time and to make sure that we wrap up quickly, we have one more presentation. Georgette Beck, she runs our very, very special program called Keep Port St. Lucie Beautiful. Keep Port St. Lucie Beautiful was created as a part of the Public Works Department, and it's really important. It was so important that we decided to create the program, and Georgette is here to tell us all about it. Thank you, Georgette.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Alex. Thank you very much. So yes, my name is Georgette Beck, and I'm the program supervisor for Keep Port St. Lucie Beautiful. And I just want to make sure this is okay. So we have a mission with Keep Port St. Lucie Beautiful. We engage individuals to take greater responsibility for improving their community and their environment. And we are tied in with the city's strategic plan. Goal number 1, safe, clean, and beautiful. So let me ask you a question. Whose responsibility is it to keep our city clean and beautiful? We are a community, and communities defined as a unified body of individuals, people with common interests living in a similar area, a specific area. So keeping our community clean and beautiful is actually everyone's responsibility. A shared responsibility. You see, there's different parts there. You have the government, you have residents, you have businesses, and then you have the visitors. We are the Sunshine State, after all, so we have a lot of people coming to visit. So whose job is it? There's one PSL right there. So who are you gonna call? I love that. Okay, so Keep Port St. Lucie Beautiful. Here's why we're here, okay? We follow these guiding principles that are the Keep America Beautiful's principles. And we educate and raise awareness about the importance and the truth of, what's important about the quality of life. And it does begin with our personal responsibility. So we engage with individuals to take greater responsibility, be good stewards of the environment. And I love quotes. I don't know if you're an affirmation person or love quotes, but I collect them. And Socrates once said, I cannot teach anybody anything. I can only make them think, right? So Keep Port St. Lucie Beautiful, I feel we're here to facilitate thinking. And we give hope. Because ending litter, improving recycling, and beautifying our community does not happen overnight. As you just learned about Public Works, there's phases to everything. There's a lot to be done always. And with litter prevention, litter control, and improving recycling, those, are tough issues at times. They're complex. and they're not going to be solved overnight. So as a word person, I love words, and this is kaizen. It's a word that originated in Japan, and it translates to mean change for the good. And change is a continuous improvement. So how does change really occur? Most times, it's very, very slow. It's an ongoing process. You know, it takes continuous efforts to improve. And so our role at Keep Portsmouth So Beautiful is we encourage the thinking, we give hope, and we partner and collaborate with our community members, such as yourself, and businesses, and government municipalities. So last year, starting in 2019, the city manager asked us to collaborate with all city departments to create an action plan. The Litter Eradication Action Plan is what we came up with, called LEAP. And we have a mascot now. It was an otter, and last year's, this year's Citizens Summit, the residents voted and named him Otto. So we have a mascot that represents this LEAP. But I know myself, I live here since '97. I don't want to go driving down the road and seeing dirt or litter and a mess and trash. I don't want to see tires on the side of the road. I don't want to see water bottles. I care about where I live, and I want to see beautiful things. Do you know even the smallest source of litter causes issues and can be very dangerous? For example, cigarette butts. They contain harmful chemicals, and they contaminate the water and soil wherever they're left. And they take a really long time to break down, 18 months to 10 years in some cases. So it depends on the conditions. But we here at Port St. Lucie, we have a really good, strong foundation. We're doing a lot of things great, and that's great. We have good policies set in place, and this plan is to help us take it forward. So the next society is going to be with us shortly. What society do we want that to be? What kind of community do we want it to be? Well, change, it starts with us. So LEAP has 5 components to it: education and awareness, infrastructure, partnership, enforcement, and incentives. One without the other is not going to work. You know, we go out and we talk to businesses about litter, especially if a resident calls and says, you know, this parking lot was not looking really good. Can we do something about it? And we say, yes. We take litter very seriously in our city. So we go make a visit and we talk to the business. You know, that's why partnerships are so important. You know, we ask them, how can we help you maintain your property? Do you need help? Do you need something? We're here to help. So the history of Keep Port St. Lucie Beautiful. How did she become what she is today? So as you heard, about 32 years ago, our Public Works Department came into existence. And with labor and machinery, they actually did all the picking up of litter and cleaning in the city. And it was their sole responsibility. Then, a few years later, they developed the Adopt a Street volunteer program. And that's a program that has volunteers to help keep our city clean and beautiful, and more on that in just a bit. So we are an affiliate of Keep America Beautiful, and then 7 years later, we developed the litter hotline, and this is before 1PSL. That's pretty new, came out. We thought we were high tech back then, having our own litter hotline, so people could call any time if they saw something on the side of the road that did not belong there, and we responded. And we still have that number in place. We make it very easy and convenient for our residents to communicate with us, and we love that. So, as I said, we're affiliates to Keep America Beautiful, and we remain in good standing. We have the President's Circle again, and that's quite an honor. As you can imagine, there's affiliates all over the state of Florida, and to remain in good standing means you've kept the reports that are required, you have the events that you promised to have to match the mission, and we are together in this all over the state and throughout our nation. So we meet up once a year, actually, and those are some of the affiliates from all across Florida. And I'm proud to say, last year, we received a state award for outstanding school education involvement for the Buddy Bench project. Now, we have a volunteer committee, and it's 9 members that serve. So we have, we're kind of small. There's Rebecca and I, 2 full-time staff. We have a full-time staff that's part of our litter crew, and part-timers that fall within our little division, and we are actually housed in the Environmental Services Division of the Public Works Department. And since last year, we also managed the Holiday Lights program in the city. And starting this year, we're going to be developing a Keep Port St. Lucie Beautiful beautification plan. And that is in collaboration with our Public Works staff members, Neighborhood Services, NICE, and other departments, our capital improvement team. Wherever there's going to be something happening in the city, we want to think, how can we make it even better? And how can we use our tax dollars wisely? So for instance, the sidewalks projects that they were talking about, we have a street tree policy in place with the Public Works as well. We'll tap into that, and then how can Keep Port St. Lucie Beautiful and our committee members make it even nicer? And, we partner with NICE, like I said, and maybe they want to put a bench in, and we'll plant the trees and bushes and flowers. And one thing Jenny talked about with utility systems, we're going to partner with other departments. How can we help beautify various places in the city? Lift stations was an idea, and retention ponds is another one. So this year, that's probably what you're going to see. You're going to see one in each district get a little facelift and receive some extra love. So we are all about education and raising awareness, and that happens wherever we go. So we have a youth educational program. We go into the schools and we partner with them and talk about a lot of different things. We're invited to speak at HOA meetings, civic groups, business meetings, and a lot of outreach events, as you can see from the list there. Arbor Day in January, that's here in Florida, Arbor Day is in January, the third Friday of every January. We actually go into 3 schools and we talk about Arbor Day. And then we give the students a free little baby tree seedling to go home and plant it in their yard, or give it to a friend if they are apartment folks. We talk about partnerships, it's really important. So we're out and about in the community. We network at a lot of different places when possible, the chamber activities, the businessmen, Treasure Coast Business Association. And we just participated in the Treasure Coast Business Summit that was held at Mid-Florida. That was really, really fun and got to meet a lot of new people. And so while we are a part of the city and work with a little bit of a budget, we almost operate like a nonprofit. So additional funding is imperative to help us do what we do. And we cannot do it alone. We rely on sponsors and grants. And here's our litter crew, one of a few folks. We have a 4-person crew full-time, and they're out every day. You may have seen them driving the little gators, and they have a weekly schedule, and they also handle requests that come in daily from you. If you saw something on the side of the road, a lot of calls we receive is illegal dumping, the tires. We do receive, there's things left near a vacant lot. They have questions about, how they can dispose of household hazardous items. There's all kinds of things that go on. Our folks go out. So this year alone, since January, our litter crew has collected over 68,000 pounds of litter and trash. So just think about that. That's really cool. So residents call the litter hotline, they call the city manager's office, or they use the 1PSL app. And I love talking about this. So we manage the city's Adopt a Street volunteer program, and now it's Adopt a Street or Spot, because folks can actually adopt an area near a retention pond, a right-of-way, or a mile along, a mile of roadway, and they help keep it clean. It's very easy to participate and join. You just go online, you fill out an application. There's a map you can check online to see if that area is available for adoption. And you sign up, and we complete the application process. You get your t-shirt and litter grabber and buckets and all the supplies that you'll need. And then we just ask you do a cleanup once a month. Most of our volunteers do cleanups once a week, every 2 weeks. We have over 167 groups right now, and it's growing fast, and we love that. And this is really good for teenagers because it helps them meet those requirements for school for volunteer hours. And then our program provides a sense of belonging and, something that people are a part of something bigger than themselves. And it's a good family. So there you go. And we just started something new this year. So within our Adopt a Street program, with over 1,000 or so volunteers, there's going to be some that rise to the top. you know, they've helped out above and beyond. They're always there in response to when we need help to bag, you know, T-shirts or get ready for different events. We said, how can we utilize those folks and give them an opportunity to develop their leadership skills and to learn more about Keyport St. Lucie Beautiful and actually help our program grow as a whole. So we came up with Adopt a Street ambassadors. And Michelle Miller and Wayne Landry are our first ambassadors ever, and they have stepped up. They want to, Michelle's going to facilitate neighborhood meetups to cleanups, hopefully, when we can get back out there and do that maybe 3 times next year. We're trying to think, let's get started. Wayne Landry, he's actually delivered our books to the schools. We just got some books in, which I'll explain in a bit as part of America's Recycle Day. So this is the Golden Grabber Award. Might not look real fancy or cost a real lot, but you see that little litter grabber there that we're holding? That's spray painted gold, and our volunteers love receiving that. Once a year, we have an appreciation event, and we thank them. And there's like 2 or 3 groups that might have done really crazy good things, and we want to acknowledge them. We honor everybody, but then we you know, one group, they picked up the most pounds of trash. One did the most recycling, and others just show up whenever you have something going on. You see their smiley faces. So those guys received the Golden Grabber Award. Now, partnerships. So we have our litter crew, okay? We have our environmental services, our contractors, and that clean up litter along the swale. We've partnered with St. Lucie Sheriff's Office with the inmate program, and they actually help us by going to those hard-to-reach areas, you know, away from the residential areas, and they pick up, you know, big things that people sadly think they can just leave behind or hide away somewhere. They help get those things for us. And this year to date, they've picked up 72 bags and 1,440 pounds of trash and 72 miscellaneous items. And those are probably some of those tires and things like that. So, but due to COVID, they did take a break this past year. We had to make some changes, and they're back on now, so you'll probably be seeing them every so often. So the next thing I want to share with you guys is, again, this year we sadly, right, Alex, we were not able to get out in the neighborhoods like we want and talk and share, but we partner and we do cleanups. And we want to do them again because it's a nice way to get to know your neighbors and get to know businesses in the area. McDonald's once wanted a cleanup, and we did one with McDonald's. Keller Williams does a Red Day, and they do a cleanup along their adopted route. But you know, just to tell you the impact that this kind of thing has, they picked up in 2019 164 bags, which is about 3,300 pounds of trash and litter. So every part of our program and all that we're doing together here in the city to collaborate makes a difference. So one of our largest events every year is a part of the Great American Cleanup that happens nationally in America. We call it Caring Community Cleanup now, but since 1996 we've been doing this. This is about 25 years. This past year was going to be the 25th anniversary, give or take, and we wanted to make it a big deal, and it is. So coming up this year, we're going to celebrate again. But we have over 300 folks that come out. We have exhibitors, and we do a giant cleanup. It's a lot of fun, so I hope to see you come out this year. And they've collected over 10,000 pounds of litter and trash from those efforts. Now, here's another service that we provide. We host 2 household hazardous waste collection day events every year. This is free to the residents. What do you do with those hazardous items that you cannot put in your trash and, heaven forbid, pour down your drain or on the ground? You bring it to us. Now, mind you, St. Lucie County Landfill, they partner with us on this event. They help sponsor the event, and we work together to take care of it for the residents, so it's free. You can go to the landfill anytime you want, and some things are free, and some things have a cost associated to leave it with them. But you can come to our Public Works facility. We just had it this past weekend, and we had over 446 cars come through. I don't have all the stats of data of how much was collected, but in 2019, let's see if I can get my number here, we had over 28,854 pounds of trash with 864 cars coming through from the 2 events. That's pretty awesome. So obviously it's a need in our community, and we're happy to provide it. And we get a lot of questions. Call us anytime if you want to ask about what's hazardous or not. One of the biggest questions we always get is the oil-based paint or water and latex. So great news, water-based and latex are not considered hazardous. If residents want to dispose of them properly, you can solidify them by adding kitty litter or dirt to the can. And I've heard you can buy a solvent at the paint store to help the process. Once it's solidified, you can put it in your regular trash bag, tie it up very securely, put it in your outside receptacle for the curbside so it doesn't fall out of the truck. Make sure it's securely tied and fastened. But the oil-based, you bring that to us twice a year and we'll take it from you. So America's Recycle Day, we celebrate that every year, every November. It's our way of, helping to raise awareness on, recycling. How can you do it better? Are you recycling? What it's all about here in our city. And we also encourage folks, go online to America's Recycle Day, take the pledge. Say you want to tell other people about recycling and step up the efforts, pass the word. So we do that every year. It's coming up, and this year, actually for the past 2 years, we did the Buddy Bench project. That was a part of that initiative, and we worked with children. We helped them collect caps. The community got involved, and for 200 pounds of caps, a factory would melt them down, and a bench was created from that recycled, we repurposed the caps, and it was really awesome. We have 5 ribbon ceremonies coming up, November 18th and 19th, and one that you'd like to come to we have one that's open to the public. We're gifting one of the Buddy Benches to the community center because they have a new playground. You're more than welcome to pop in over there. I believe it's November, oh gosh, I don't have my date. Oh yes, I do. It's November 19th at 11:30 at the community center. So you're more than welcome to pop over. It's just a quick little ceremony as we unveil their new Buddy Bench. The great thing about this is it had an anti-bullying aspect to it of raising awareness about how important it is for children to be kind to each other. We have enough things going on, and we want to help the children to learn how important it is to be nice and kind to their friends. And this was a symbolic way to do it, while teaching them about the environment, how they can repurpose and recycle. So I'm really excited about that. This year, we have a community virtual presentation that you are invited to attend on Friday, November 13th. We put out a survey, and the times that were selected was 6 o'clock. It's 1 hour long, and we thought it would be fun to invite a speaker in. So we have Damien from Repurposed Materials coming in, and he's going to talk about some unique, fun ways that he thought of how to repurpose items, some unique items. So it's just a good way for us to get together as a community and talk about recycling. So hope to see you there. You can register online. We have a flyer we can send out to you shortly, and you can register online. It's going to be virtual. So 2 times a year now, we host a tree giveaway, once in May, and it's a drive-through at our Public Works, and the other one is in the fall. So we just held one in September. And as you can imagine, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of us had to change how we did things. So we got together as a team, and we talked to communications department, our IT department, and we collaborated on how we could save this event and prevent it from being canceled. Because the fall event, as some of you may have attended, you walk around, you come out, you do registration, you visit the botanical gardens with our partners there, and Master Gardeners, University of Florida Extension Office, and you visit 5 out of 7 educational stations to learn how to take care of your tree that you're going to receive. It's a fun morning, it's a great family day, but we could not have that many people in close contact. So we said, how can we do this? Very first time ever, we created the virtual online pre-registration for a tree. You got the educational component online, and you also got a packet when you drove through a drive-through. We have done the drive-through before, but we just never did a pre-registration online. And it worked out great, almost great. We had a rainstorm come in that day, so all of the 450 trees that were reserved, about 350 got picked up. But good news, the rest were given away at our Household Hazardous Waste Collection Day event. So people dropped off their chemicals, and they got to leave with a fresh tree to plant in their yard and support the environment. So that's great news. One thing I forgot to mention, for the household hazardous waste, we partnered with utility systems because you remember how Jenny said you cannot put that bacon grease down the sink. So we said, all right, it's not hazardous, but it's harmful to the environment. So we allow residents to bring their cooking oil to the household hazardous event. And the landfill now has has it set up where they collect that there as well. So you can bring your cooking oil. Now, as part of trees, we help facilitate and we work with all our city departments to track the data, and we encourage our residents to plant a tree. The mayor put a challenge out to the residents about 2 years now ago to plant a tree. If every resident planted just one, we'd have over 200,000 trees. Trees are great for our environment. They're great for us as human beings. They're great for the animals, and it's just a win-win. Good oxygen, good air, and so now we are at, as of right now, let's see, since the inception, we have over 49,670 trees planted. You can go online. Anytime you plant a tree, you can go to the iPlant website, or on the website, log in where your tree is, and it'll show up on the map. So every year, except for this past year, we have an appreciation night at the Mets. It's our way of saying thank you to all our volunteers and community members for helping keep our city clean and beautiful. We have free tickets for families to go out and watch a baseball game. And we also honor our Golden Grabber Award winners. There's a second opportunity for them to be honored. And we partner with the Treasure Coast Food Bank. It's our pleasure to do so. We help collect food and we give free tickets. So if you bring 2 cans, I think it's 2 cans and then you receive 2 tickets, something like that. And so to date, we've collected over 9,000 pounds of food that help feed families in our communities. So that's a fun thing. I hope we have it again this year. Stay tuned. That's a work in progress. Now, the cigarette litter prevention program, that is supported by a grant we received from the Keep America Beautiful program. So we're very glad to do it. This year we partnered with the Saints and 2 Walmarts, and we felt that the focus really needed to be on commercial properties, and good thing. So the number one form of litter, this should have been a good poll, actually it's gonna be. The top number one form of litter is something so little, tiny, but it causes a lot of problems and damage. Cigarette butts. So I'm so glad we get to do this cigarette litter prevention program. And we have to conduct litter scans. We conducted a litter scan at each of those properties I mentioned. And for instance, US 1 Walmart had over 2,500 plus cigarette butts, and Gatlin had over 4,100. That's 4,150 cigarette butts in the parking lot. I know. I tell you what, me and my husband did an experiment, and we went walking around our neighborhood that we do quite a bit. I can't remember. I think we did a block of a walk, and it was over 300. That's just walking quickly and counting. Over 300 cigarette butts, even in front of our house, and we're not smokers. And that stuff doesn't go away quickly. So we need to work together, and that's why we rely on all of us together to do our responsibility. You don't have to drop the butt on the ground. We have actually some cups left if residents want a little ash receptacle cup for their car. We have some. Businesses, we still have some of those free ash receptacle stands left. We gave Walmart 8 each. Saints Golf Course also received free ash receptacle stands, and they had 160 cigarette butts on the golf course. Last year, our campaign worked with the golf courses and boaters. We felt cigarette butts in the water and on the golf course. They don't belong. They really don't. Here's this beautiful nature. My husband actually inspired me for that campaign last year because he's just started golfing. He's newly retired, and now he's a golfer forever. But he went golfing, and he sees these sandhill cranes, and he's loving the nature, seeing the beautiful trees and the flowers and how beautiful the grass is. And then he's looking down, and he sees the cigarette butts. I won't say which golf courses he goes to, but they were there. So that inspired the idea. So we reached out to our city golf course and said, hey, would you like a free ash receptacle stand? And can we go count butts in your grounds? Sure, okay. So they're year 2 with us. But I wonder if this will play, Avi, if I hit it again. Okay, so watch this little PSA we created.
Keep Port St. Lucie Beautiful invites you to join our efforts to prevent litter. Cigarette butts are the #1 form of litter, and although small, they are deadly to our environment. Cigarettes are not biodegradable and can end up in our waterways. You can help by disposing of cigarette butts in proper receptacles. Contact Keep Port St. Lucie Beautiful to receive free portable ashtray or litter stands while supplies last. Visit our website at www.cityofpsl.com/KPSLB for more information.
All right. So litter prevention awareness. So as part of the LEAP, we talked about partnerships, and Parks and Rec invited us to develop a new partnership with them for their summer camp program. So it started last summer and continued this summer, and we work with the campers. Last year, they learned about what was in the landfill while talking about litter and recycling, all tied in one, and they created a little trash pizza, we called it. And this year, and last year, we invited the teenagers to participate in a litter prevention PSA contest. And whoever won would work with our communications department, and they would be famous. They would have a video created, and the video would go on YouTube. And we had a winner, Caden Young, created a video, and I want you to hear it. It's really awesome. So here's that.
Don't throw trash on our earth. Ask yourself, what is it worth? Now here's why you should respect the nature. The only thing melting is our North glaciers. We should be on top like the Kansas City Chiefs, but instead we're on the bottom with the dying coral reefs. The water is warm and our earth is on fire. Everything is gone, nearly haywire. What do? We do our part. Keep PSL safe into heart. This is our town and we need to keep it clean because everyone knows that pollution is a fiend. Don't throw trash on our earth. Ask yourself, what is it worth?
Wasn't that awesome? So our youth, they are our leaders for tomorrow, so I'm very proud of Caden. He did an awesome job. This last summer, we taught the kids how to create a terrarium using recycled plastic bottles and stones and soil, and they got to create a terrarium with little tiny succulent plants that we received from a nursery. They actually bloom and fresh, I think. They donated them to us, so thank you for that. We rely on our sponsors. So, to conclude, what's most important in our lives? We'd probably say our loved ones and our family and children and friends, but quality of life is key. But there's no quality of life if we have to go everywhere and see dirty communities and see litter everywhere, on the road, on parking lots. If we go shopping, we go into the store and see litter. It's just sad, and it's not good for our environment or the animals. And what's this saying to our children? And what's our future as this city grows? It grew from 185,000 to over 200,000 in just a couple of years, and now we do anticipate increased growth to over 400,000 in the years to come. So together we have to stay strong, and we got to keep what we've built, this strong foundation, together to do it. So I love quotes. Winston Churchill talked about, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. So are we in the arena? Are we out there? Are we together doing these things? Let's jump in the arena. Maybe you can adopt a street or spot. Maybe you'd like to partner with us as a sponsor and help us develop a new program, such as what another affiliate calls Litter Quitter. We can develop partnerships with businesses to talk about sustainability goals. Maybe stop using those styrofoam containers, and let's think of other things you can do in your business to still be profitable but protect our environment. If we got a sponsor to fund that, we could start doing that right away. We have that set up and ready to go. We just need resources. Maybe you'd like to participate in Cleanup Day this April 10th, and be a volunteer and come clean up in the morning, and or be an exhibitor. Businesses, this is great for you. You can donate a prize and plug your business. Or maybe you can just, anytime you're out and about, you guys are the eyes. This is your community too. If you see something along the road that doesn't belong there, or if there's a business that really is not being a great partner in our city, give us a call. We'll make a friendly visit. I'll go by and say hi, introduce myself, and talk about how we love keeping our city clean. And then maybe our neighborhood services department code folk will go out after me if we get another call. So we work together. And we count on it. So thank you so much. And it's a pleasure to be here. I hope to talk to you all soon. I look forward to meeting you out at our events and the outreach out there in the community. There's the River Nights. There's concerts coming up at Mid-Florida. I'm proud of our city. I love living here, and I hope you do too. Alex, are there any questions from our residents?
Thank you so much, Georgette. You do such a great job. So many programs with so little resources, and it's really just hinges on you and the volunteers and everything. So we're really proud of that. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned give us a call. It's the litter hotline, right? We actually have a litter hotline.
We still do. It's old-fashioned now. Our young teenagers are probably laughing. Of course, we have the old-fashioned pick up the telephone and call us, but we have one PSL, the app. There's lots of ways you can get in touch, and you can email us at kpslb@cityofpsl.com.
Okay, good. So we got into a little bit all of the different programs and how everyone can help out. And you talked a lot about cigarettes, but the question that we got from one of our students is, what about gum residue? Gum on sidewalks and shopping center walks. What do we do about that?
So I don't know the exact science or the data, but I can look that up. Gum, of course, is chemicals, and it doesn't break down that quick. We created a Jeopardy game actually for a school presentation, and I have really cool fun facts. If you want to email me, I'll send you some, but actually we talked to the camper kids, how long does a diaper take to break down, and they were shocked. I don't remember offhand right now, but we talked about all different kind of things, and gum wasn't one of them, but I can find, maybe there's a number out there. It doesn't go away, and as you know, it causes a yucky problem. The biggest thing, Alex, too, that triggers my mind, actually, we actually talked to a local TV station today, is the PPE. Since this whole COVID-19 started, the face masks and gloves. So here we all are as a community going through a crisis, but it developed another crisis. People are just dropping the masks everywhere, especially shopping plazas. And that, sadly, that overwhelms our managers that are trying to do the best they can to keep their parking lot clean, but it got to be so crazy. And our volunteers in the Adopt Street program talk about how they go walking, and I myself, again, I walked this month, I did a 5K through my neighborhood. I saw 4 or 5 in the right-of-way, just dropped. Why?
Yeah, so
why? When you go shopping, bring those plastic bags to repurpose them and put them in a plastic bag and throw them in the trash can when you get home. Easy peasy, right? Help us, guys. Help us spread the word. Please don't drop those things and create another crisis by germs and hurting the animals, because the face masks have the strings that the little birds get all tangled up in. It's just sad. So, sorry, I got off on a tangent, but that's a hot button right now.
Yeah, so while we all wish that we didn't have this problem, the fact of the matter is that we do have this problem. It's not just like before. It's not just us. It's not just the city of Port St. Lucie. This is worldwide, you know what I mean, all over the place. So I think we're really fortunate to be able to have a program to do the outreach and get people involved. You said that we had over 150 groups, right? Almost 200 groups, but how many volunteers is that?
Over 1,000. We're working on how to track that better, because each group, we ask how many volunteers, and then through the year their group grows, and some of that information doesn't get in our system. So we're working with our IT department to create a better reporting system, but we have over 1,000. I would say it's like 1,500, 1,700.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's really, so it's teamwork, so.
Yeah, and we got a comment, a positive comment. I'm proud of this city. So thank you for inspiring and making us all proud, and wonderful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you again. Thank you everyone for logging in, and that was the last presentation of our 2020 City University. It's exciting but sad. I really do enjoy these sessions, and it's a highlight of my day. I've done this multiple times, and every time, you always learn something new, and I enjoy doing the virtual Zoom with you all. A couple of things before we sign off tonight. Don't forget, if you plan on participating in the graduation ceremony next week, make sure you register so I know that you're coming. If you're not coming, I will send out your graduation package to you in the mail, or if you prefer to stop by and pick it up, we can make arrangements for that as well. So I will be sending out to everyone a few end of the program documents. One, I'll be sending out a list of graduates, just so that you can check and make sure that your name is there. If for any reason I've missed anybody, please let me know. I will also send out a final review sheet so that you can provide feedback about the program and, you know, give us any even constructive criticism of how we can improve. I appreciate everyone for participating, and I look forward to hosting you all at graduation next week. But if for some reason we don't see each other or we don't meet again in the future, I will definitely keep all of your emails as the official class of 2020 and invite you to any future events that we hold. I will definitely get you some information from Georgette about upcoming Keep Port St. Lucie Beautiful activities in case you want to participate. And a couple events that are upcoming right now. Tomorrow, the Botanical Gardens is actually hosting the Cultural Alliance, and they will be doing an art show outside in the gardens. So if anybody is interested in going to that, that's tomorrow, and you can find information on the Botanical Gardens website or on their Facebook page. And another thing that I want to remind you all about is the Nice Neighborhood Meetings. The Nice Neighborhood Meetings are happening again this fall during the month of November. So all of the neighborhoods will be meeting during the month of November. There are different dates for different neighborhoods. If you go on our calendar and on our website, you can see what group your neighborhood belongs to and register for that. It will be on Zoom, but the registration link is on the website, on the calendar, and you'll be able to click on it and register. And once you register, you should receive an automatic response from Zoom with the information to link into the meeting when we have them. Hopefully, we are able to get back to in-person City University and in-person Nice Neighborhood meetings, but until it's 100% safe to do that, I feel obliged to continue with the virtual option. I think that a lot of you really enjoyed it and benefited from it. So I look forward to seeing all the feedback in your evaluation reports. So I will be getting those out to you soon, and I will also be getting out some Q&A that we accumulated over the different sessions. So if there are any last minute questions that you didn't answer or question that you didn't send through during the program, you can go ahead and email those to me and I'll try and get them onto the Q&A for you. Any last questions or last goodbyes on the chat for those of you who I won't see next week? Go ahead and type them in or unmute yourself even. If you want.
Barry saying I've enjoyed participating in State University. Thanks to all who presented the class. Harry says thank you, very informative. Someone says Alex, thank you for putting this together for us. This was great informational class.
Great. Lots of positive feedback that Avi's reading back to me. So thank you very much for all the positive feedback in the chat. We had a really good time today at the truck demo, and I hope to be able to get pictures and videos out on that too. Public Works is just crazy big, and with big trucks and big equipment, so is utilities. Sometimes we take it for granted, but they do a lot of heavy lifting and a lot of dirty jobs, and it was really cool to be out there with them and see what they're doing. So I promise that I'm gonna get everything up as soon as possible for you all, as soon as everything is edited.
They're all saying make sure you feed the guy who does the Zoom, please.
The Zoom guy is great.
They're all saying, a lot of them saying we'll see you next week.
Okay, see you next week. Thank you all and good night. Bye.